Okay, that's a really good question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, I should have asked before.
That's super good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What is your name and where are you from?
My name is Lauren Huff Dest, and I'm here from Southwest Florida.
What is your educational background?
So my background is in the arts. I have a bachelor's of fine arts degree in art history, but I also have minors in printmaking and photography, which has really got my start into the arts.
Very cool. And where and what did you study?
So I studied at the Savannah College of Art and Design. I was there from 2009 till 2013. So I did a full study in art history with some minors in printmaking and photography, mostly film photography, and some digital printing as well.
You're the longest employed studio manager with Jansen Studios. You started in 2012, correct?
Yeah, I was started as an intern.
Awesome. How old were you at that time?
I think I was just under 21. Wait, I was 22.
Oh, wow.
So I was my junior year of SCAD.
Okay.
So I was looking for some sort of internship when I was coming home for the summer.
Okay.
Wasn't really super aggressive about it, but I was linking up with my friend Sabrina. You know, we have known each other since high school.
Okay.
And so she was telling me about her boyfriend she was dating at the time and how they were looking for some sort of intern to help with summer projects.
Wow, okay.
And that's kind of where the introduction began.
Oh, that's so cool. Wow. So in what capacity did you work for him?
I really focused on his inventory.
Okay.
That's really actually been something that I've continuously done for him every time we have worked together.
Yeah.
So I know his work inside and out.
Awesome.
And every time we partner up, there's always some new projects he wants to work on.
Cool.
But it's always the inventory. We want to make sure it's very accurate, it's clean, we can keep track of where things went, who owned them, and those sorts of things. I know a lot of record keeping wasn't as consistent in the early days, or it's all on paper.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so as we are into the digital times, getting it in some sort of format that we can share across the internet, look at, and follow along has always been an important thing for us here.
Yeah, and that's like, I mean, that's a legacy, so that's amazing.
It's nice, yeah.
Absolutely. So you were responsible for setting up the show at Big Arts, showing large works. How did that come about, and what did Marcus bring to the community in Southwest Florida, originally being from somewhere else?
So that was actually really fun and kind of a really nice organic thing that ended up happening. So I was working at Big Arts. I was their programs and gallery manager. We were opening a brand new building. And so we had these massive wall spaces. I mean, huge wall spaces that needed to be filled, and I felt just doing smaller works was really going to get lost in that. A lot of the walls are very white. You know, there is some sort of natural textures and organic materials used throughout the building, but overall white. And there was really needed something that was going to make a big splash. And at the same time, I was doing some contract work for Marcus, and I had reached out to him and I said, hey, we have this opportunity where I have this really great big wall. When you walk into the center, I think we can fit 2 to 3 of your larger format paintings. What do you think? And it was more of a huge favor to me because 2 weeks before opening, I was instructed that I needed to find work to fill the walls, and I panicked. Large works in Southwest Florida, at least with local artists, is not something that happens. People don't have the wall space, people don't have the storage, so it was very limiting, and it was just a light bulb moment.
So Marcus has worked with many galleries. Do you remember recent ones he has worked with here in Florida?
Trying to think. You know, I wasn't a part of his most recent one at the Alliance, but it was very successful when he curated that show. That was a very different thing for him. I would say him being at the Baker Museum was exciting. That was a moment where I could work in a capacity with the museum and him one-on-one and be there and see it happen and talk to the curators and talk to them and help coordinate logistics. And being on our home turf, it made it a little easier too. Most of the time my communications are via email, you know, very hours difference, and so there's something that's lost there. But I liked that putting him in the museum was a final mark, like I made it here in Southwest Florida. I'm showing in this major museum. Not that he's not shown in other major museums across the world, but when it's in your home turf, it really means something.
That's a good point.
I think making that mark was finally like a aha for us, or a sigh of relief, like yes, we're finally getting some recognition here.
So do you remember the first time that you met?
Oof. Yeah, a little bit. Maybe not the exact moment, but I remember the summer we spent together in that internship. It was off Evans Avenue, this warehouse space, and had great massive area, and it fit his work again so beautifully. They have all these, I mean, it may not have been tall ceilings, but they were expansive and long, which is very flowing for his work.
Yes.
You really can't put anything too much on top of it without it looking a little overwhelming and cluttered. So that was exciting to work in that space. I saw him every once in a while. He would come check in with me and the director who was working for him at the time and say hi. I got to meet him here and there.
Right.
But I just remember when he was showing me in the space next door where he kept all his paintings that had no AC and spending time with him trying to figure out the serial numbers that were already on the back of the paintings, matching them up to proper titles, making sure, just really kind of helping him comb out those fine details. And just, that's kind of was our vibe, was just working together on a project, let him have his space and paint, and then when he was around for it, just chat with him about it. And we just always have an organic conversation about art constantly. It's really great. He's got a very passionate drive. Where when he has a goal in his mind, it's treated like a mission, which I think kind of calls back to his military experience. And the other thing working with Marcus that I've learned, and it is part of our, how we operate, always have a backup plan. There's always we're always asking questions, well, if we can't do this, what are our other options? And he literally will jump through hoops to make it happen. That's how driven he is. His success is not only because he's talented, but because he puts himself there and goes for it. And he expects the same from everyone else that works for him. You have to be very driven and passionate, very into what you're doing, and also want this to help him get to his goal. It's very fulfilling for me to help artists reach that or understand where they're, maybe they don't have the admin experience or they just need somebody to talk an idea through. That's what I like to do. So having those moments with him, talking about his work when I come through the studio and visiting and seeing what he's up to, that's always the thing, that he's a very driven person. And I just think that that's really just who he is and to his core, inside and out. I would say that would be the one word I would describe Marcus.
So you studied art history. How do you see Marcus's work in the context of art history and how it relates to contemporary life today?
Right. So to say that, if anyone was to ever tell me that Marcus's work does not comment on anything in general would be very foolish. I mean, everything he does is connected to what is happening in that time and space, in that moment of our linear trajectory of time or whatever. All of his work is calling back to something that was very prominent during that time when he painted. A few years ago, I want to say 2011-ish, there was a, in the 2010s, a moment where GMOs and growing food and all that was a big topic. Very debatable topic, lab-grown meat, things of that nature. And a lot of his series reflects on that. So I think if you were to really focus on Marcus's work per year, you could kind of pick out what was going on in that time period and see it live. So I think the work he's doing today and leading up to today has been very prominent in a reflection, as you will, in what's happening in today's society. Well, my hope is, and as someone who is an art history major and pulling artwork, there is a level of recognition you need to reach in order to be used as a reference. Unless you know this artist very well from some other avenue, I would say that was one thing about doing an art history program, was you are encouraged to find these other artists to back up your studies. But when it's really hard to shuffle through all the Warhols and the mayonnaise and find artists that you can use to support whatever discussion you're trying to have. So I would hope, and I imagine, that if in 15 years when another student's focusing on the political strife happening in the United States, I would hope that they would pull some of Marcus's work. There's a lot of different avenues you can use his work to discuss anything of that relevance, from politics to gentrification to the GMOs and food processing. any of those hot topics,
Absolutely.
he is commented
War,
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, war. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
colonialism,
Yeah,
all-
yeah.
I know, it's just like,
It's overwhelming.
yeah,
And then it's all coming to a culmination right now, and it's just to a boiling point, and I see it in the work too. It's
Yeah.
all coming to a head, and at some point, something's going to give, and I look forward to seeing what gives in his work at that point too.
yeah.